Well, tensions in the Red Sea are escalating as Iran sends a warship into the vital shipping route after major companies were forced to redirect their shipping courses. Now the diversion sent ocean freight prices soaring. So how are companies navigating this challenge? We want to bring in Satish Jindel. He's a ShipMatrix President. Satish, it's great to have you here. So we've been talking about fears of trade disruption. I understand that you help retailers, distributors, also manufacturers of all sizes. So what have the conversations been like with your clients in terms of how you are evaluating this type of risk?
You know, there are certain products that have a kind of a value where they can justify it being converted to an air freight. But by and large, more than 80-90% of what's moving in the ocean liners has to move as an ocean liner because of a huge difference in the cost between ocean and air. So they are having to consider routing it around the African continent, which adds to the cost and to the extra time, but that is still better than trying to put it on the aircrafts.
Talk to me about what that does to prices as they reach consumers in the end here. Can you talk to me about what some specific numbers might look like for that?
You know, air freight is generally about 8 to 10 times more than the ocean freight. So think of what that will do to add to the shipping cost. And while the shipping costs today are lower, for a container, it could be about $2,000. They were during the pandemic time up to $15,000, $20,000, and you can see how the cost of goods were increasing during that time. So it is not good for the consumers to have to deal with a change and increase in the shipping cost that would come as a result of this diversion.
Yes, Satish, talk a little bit more about that, just how much of an increase consumers could see and as a result in some of their goods if we do see shipping costs or reducing airfare costs rise as a result of some of this disruption.
You know, when you think of transportation represents anywhere from 5 to 7% of the cost of what people are buying of the whole cost of the good. And if that goes up, the consumers can see a mid-single digit 5 to 7% increase in the cost of the final product that they would be buying as a result of the diversion.
I'm still stuck on what you said, that there could be an 8 to 10 times increase in the price when you switch over to air from ground. That is a huge potential impact that could really disrupt the disinflationary narrative that we've been hearing heading into this year. What's the timeline look like when you see a disruption like this? When does that start to hit consumers at the end here?
You know, it will vary by the product and how long the shelf life is for the product and how fast the consumers want certain items. There are some products that are stocked in the country that are being replenished by what's coming. And if that's the case, they will continue to ship it from the warehouses they already have the product in. But as it continues, and if this goes on for a month, 2 months, then the consumers will feel it even more than in the next week or 2 weeks.
Satish, we initially reached out to you because of a journal article that you were quoted in and was talking about how China-backed retailers are shipping millions of U.S. packages a day. Talk to us just about the supply chain landscape up until this point. We had spent so much about the pandemic talking about the fact that more and more is being manufactured here in the U.S. But how much do we still rely on China and are very much reliant on supply coming out of there in terms of the fact that we are extremely far from this decoupling narrative that has certainly had taken hold over the last year or two?
You know, the story of Temu and Shein is a very impressive one. What's important here is to realize that the internet has finally come to full scale in enabling the consumer to be able to buy the products almost directly from the manufacturer. And what Temu and Shein are doing is they are getting the orders from the consumer and then obtaining the products from the small manufacturers in China, doing the packaging, doing the validation of the quality and everything in real time, eliminating the need for a lot of warehouses and stocking it, which adds to the inventory cost, and shipping the item individually packaged with the address label of the consumer directly from China using the lower labor cost that they have compared to what we have in the US. And I may add that you may have heard this week or yesterday how many states have increased the minimum wages. Well, guess what? That just makes it more attractive for every task that can be done in China instead of bringing it here and then having an American worker spend the time undertaking those activities.